So the benefit of doing series, although when I got started, it was all one shots. Just I love the form. I love being able to just be like, here's a whole story, right? Just you don't need anything else. You don't need any other context. Everything you want to know is in this book. Just read this and you'll get everything you want out of it. So I really like that concept. Um, but even then, I get people who are like, "Are you going to do another issue of this?" It's like it's a one shot. No,
Yeah.
right? But I love that form of storytelling. But from like a sales and marketing point of view, always a benefit to just do a series and like and again, even I've been doing mini series like 5 issues, but more and more I'm like, man, I need like an ongoing, like a 100 issue epic, just so that people start collecting these because it just feels like that's just the way, specifically comics. Right? That's just the way comics works. I say that, but there's all kinds of novel series out there as well. James Patterson has what 20 different series going on at any given time.
Yeah. I'm a
So
librarian, so I'm very aware of
yeah.
books James Patterson has out there.
Yes, James Patterson and the person who actually wrote it. But but yeah. So it's not unique to comics for sure. Genre fiction is chock full of series,
Mm.
right? But that's why it's the idea of like, yeah, you could pick it up at the 27th novel in the series, but if you like number 27, you can jump back all the way to 1 and read the whole thing, and right, so it makes a lot of sense. But comics being more collecting based and collections, and everybody wants the full whatever, it definitely helps to have a series. So sounds like you're on the right track. Yes, hopefully. So is the plan for all of these to go on Kickstarter or?
Yeah. So my one shot, Secret Lives of Demon Hunters, that will be on Kickstarter.
Nice.
The series we'll see. Like that I am still currently writing.
Okay.
And so that one is still somewhat far off, but I will be looking for a illustrator in the not so distant future at this point.
Nice.
But I at least have one solid Kickstarter in my future, possibly.
That's awesome.
So.
Yeah, it definitely helps. The one shot's a great way to go, especially so if you haven't done a Kickstarter before, at least for.
No.
Okay. Yeah. So it's always good because the thing with Kickstarter is, yes, you bring your own audience in,
Mm-hmm.
but you're bringing an audience in that usually is familiar with Kickstarter.
Yeah.
So it's hard to convince people from outside the ecosystem to build an account and then explain to them that, yes, like, even though I'm like, I will certainly send you the comic you order. Not everything on Kickstarter is that way, right? Like, it's not they say it very clearly. It's not a pre-order system. It's a crowdfunding system. There's no guarantee that you pay for something and you get it. And that, to a lot of people, doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
Understandably, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people will just never find you on Kickstarter. So why it becomes important is, yes, you bring some of your crowd from elsewhere to Kickstarter, but then you start building on Kickstarter itself,
Yes.
right? You start bringing people in because they see your campaign, because they backed another one, and it starts growing organically within. So before you get to the point that you're doing a series, it does help to have one or two other projects that you've already built a little bit of a foundation, right? And then kind of go from there. But yeah, the best advertising for the next thing is the current thing, kind of thing, right? Like, you just you're always launching, always having something in the works, which it sounds like you do. That seems to be the best way. It's just as true on Kickstarter, right? The best way to get attention on Kickstarter is to be on Kickstarter. So if I have any advice, it's just keep doing it until it works. Keep banging your head against that wall.
And there's a lot of great stuff. I mean, yes, I've been on Kickstarter, like checking out like what are the people doing, that kind of stuff. There's a lot of really cool, very creative stuff out there.
Oh yeah.
That people are working on. that just I've just been really impressed on things that, like, I mean, I wouldn't have known about if wasn't going into this kind of
Oh
thing.
yeah, yeah.
So
It's wild how there's almost like a sub culture on
mm,
Kickstarter, right? Like
yeah.
there are people who are like mega famous on Kickstarter that I'll talk to out in the world. I'll go to a convention and be like, "Have you heard of Pat Shand?" And they're like, "I don't know who that is." I say, "How?" Dude makes 100 something thousand dollars every time he launches something, and people don't know, right? Like if you're in Kickstarter, you're well aware of who he is. If you're not, or like you mentioned, like with your anthology with Lifeline
Mhm.
Comics and Cat and Phil and everything they're doing, and right, they're huge on Kickstarter, right? Especially with Cat doing the Comic Uno YouTube and all that stuff, right? That she's always pumping stuff up that everybody else is working on and all that business. And yeah, it's within Kickstarter, they're huge. Outside, it's like maybe not, you know, they are. So
Mhm.
it's an interesting thing, but it's cool because it's very like what's the word? Not I guess rebellious. It's almost like punk. Everybody just kind of showed up,
No,
right?
yeah.
We're just like, you're just gonna make this happen. And it
Mhm.
happened, right? So I love that. I love that aspect of it. Like there's really no limitations outside of your willingness to do it,
Mhm.
right? Um of course there's, you know, if you don't have an artist, you got to pay for an artist and all that stuff. Let's let's not say that it's just that. Um,
That's a
but
slight limitation.
that's a slight limitation,
That's a
yeah.
limitation we can figure out a way around.
Well, this is it, and really, the Kickstarter is not just a tool for the community and all that stuff. Like, really, it's if you find the right artist and the you know, and it all works out, like you can fund the artist through the Kickstarter. Now, at the end of this, you have a comic in your hand that you can bring to people and show that it's real. And there's like a percentage out there. There's like a thing out there of like if you've made something, you're in like the top 10% of people in the world, of all the people who say they want to do something and never actually end up doing it, right? Like you're such a small percentage of a percentage, and then if you've sold that thing, you're an even smaller percentage of that percentage, right? And then if you've done it twice and it just keeps shrinking and shrinking, and it becomes like, you know, at a certain point you're like 1% of the population of people who say that they want to do this, right? If you've actually done it and you actually have some like proof of completing a project, like you're become such a small group, such an exclusive group of people who've actually seen something through to the end and then are willing to go do it again. Um, so every once in a while, I need to remind myself of that. It's like, you
Oh
know,
yeah, like enjoy like um the wins, whatever win you get. Enjoy
yeah,
it. Like
right,
um I mean, and I got this advice and I pass this along when I run, like I said, I'm a librarian and I do some writing classes
nice,
through the library system. And like I pass this advice along that's just sort of like, even if you want to write novels, still try your hand at short stories. Like
yeah,
don't try to have like your first novel be Game of Thrones. Um, because it yes, in part because, like, you know, to walk before you run kind of
hmm,
thing, but also to get some of the successes under your belt too.
yes,
So I mean, I'm sure that there are people out there who the first thing they've ever published was this huge epic thing, um, but also just to kind of like get it since something out there, the publisher takes it and you have that success, that validation. Like, I mean, you can of course share that, you know, on your query letter, but you also kind of like can tell yourself that like this has been accepted, people enjoyed this thing, even if
yep.
it's not Game of Thrones.
Well, that's it, right? And one thing leads to the other, right?
Mhm.
Like you can hope to get that like huge novel series done. Or it's definitely a walk before you run, like you said, but um yeah, it's having something completed and having something done that you're proud of, or even if you're not proud of it, but it's done, and now you can do the next thing and improve on it, right? Where if you're working on one thing, like if you're working on your, you know, 1,000-page novel, and then you get to the end of it and you don't like it, like you've spent how long working on that, right? Because this epic fantasy that you had in mind that you've been dreaming of for 20 years, um, you know, and now it's just not because you didn't have the skill, right? You've never been to the end before, and now
Yeah.
that you're here, it's not what you expected. where if you start smaller and you
Mm-hmm.
finish something and you show people and then you get your feedback and you kind of build those one, you build the skill, two, you build up the scar tissue when people tell you that you're not there yet,
Yeah.
right? And all that, and it's just doing it again and again and again until you're at a point where you're like, okay, like now I'm ready. But the other thing I'll say about that too is I mentioned the thing that you've been thinking about for 20 years. Don't start with that. Never start with that. It'll
Mm-hmm.
never be what you expected because you've been thinking about it way too long, right? And you have to get to a point where you have a bunch of ideas that you don't necessarily care about, or you don't, don't have all this baggage,
Yeah.
right? Just tell whatever story. Come up with one tonight and then write that one and see that one through, because now at least you don't feel this need for it to be successful. It just is what it is. You'll find you tell better stories that way, so that now when you do come to that idea that is 20 years old, you can start seeing all the holes that you've made in it over time. And you start fixing it and changing it and making it something a lot better than it would have been had you just done that idea and seen it through, right? So again, that, or do whatever you want, but
Yeah, yeah, do whatever. Like,
right at the end of the day, again, there are no rules, and someone will prove me wrong immediately and say, "Well, I've been working on this idea, and now it's a film." Sure, but in theory, in general, rather, I find that it does help if you have something that you're not attached to, and you
yeah.
just do it, and you just finish it, and you move on, right? Um, where if
Mhm.
it's the epic tome that you've been dreaming of,
Well,
you'll never get there, right?
I think like for me, my favorite moment of inspiration that I ever had, um, just you talking about like just going with stories that you're not super emotionally invested in.
Hmm.
A little while back, um, it was Thanksgiving and driving to a family's house, and I was starving, and so I just pulled into a Burger King. And of course, you don't get fast food on Thanksgiving. You're not. And like, and I kind of got like that kind of guilt kind of thing. Like, look, I'm starving. We're not eating for another 3 hours. Like, let me, kind of thing. And like, I just thought to myself, like, what's the worst thing that's going to happen if I eat
Hmm.
McDonald's or Burger King, whatever it was, on Thanksgiving? And I followed that thread to its not so logical conclusion. And I came up with a story just off the cuff that I wrote and ended up getting published eventually.
Nice.
But this is sort of like with what you were saying with like this wasn't this huge epic tome that has been with me since preschool and all that stuff. But I felt like I had so much freedom with it since it's such a silly, ridiculous thing. I don't know if that's
Hmm.
kind of what you're getting at or
No, 100%. That's exactly it, right? Like it's just the freedom to just tell the story and not have all this expectation or this need for it to be a certain way,
mm,
right? Like it's just, yeah, I'm just doing this because it's interesting to me right now. I'm gonna see through, and then at least you can get to the end of it, right? And you tell the story and you move on. Where if it's the one you've been dreaming of forever, right? Like it'll just never. You'll tinker with it, and it'll be like, but I'm pretty sure this is what I was going for more,
mm-hmm.
right? And you'll never really get where you want to be with it. I find if you don't, if you don't just finish something, just finish something that doesn't matter as much to you, and those will probably come out with better stories than the one you've been dreaming of, right? At least until you put the reps in. You could always, like, it doesn't mean that you don't do that project. You just don't do it till you're ready, right? And it might be a really long time. Like you never really know, right?
Well, wasn't Saga, maybe I just made this up. Wasn't Saga like an idea that Brian K. Vaughan got in like middle school or something?
Oh, I don't know,
Something
maybe.
like this went like a ridiculous amount of time. So it's wonderful when you hear stories like that. That it's
Yeah.
just, and of course, he made all sort like um, Why Last Man and Ex Machina before he got to
Hmm.
this. Um,
Right, but he put those reps in before he got to that story that he's been dreaming of or sitting on, right? Um, and I think that's the way to do it. I think it's like really make sure you're at a point where the story is where
mm-hmm.
you're at the point where you should be telling that story as well, right?
Yeah.
Um, I think to your point about like people wanting to do their own like Game of Thrones and that, right? And they're like, oh, I want to tell this huge like thing. It's like, yeah, but right now you are telling your version of Game of Thrones. It's like you're not telling your story. You're telling whatever you really enjoyed as a 16-year-old
Yeah.
or whatever, right? And your slightly modified version. It's like live some life, tell some stories, get some experience in both in writing and just in life, and then it'll become something unique and worth telling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And also like learn the kind of stories you want to tell too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like I personally, I don't know why. Feel free to psychoanalyze me. I don't really like stories about people who are imprisoned somewhere. Uh,
Interesting.
uh, there are a few exceptions, but who are imprisoned or trapped somewhere for the
Mm-hmm.
most of the story. And then I found myself writing a story. It wasn't the entire part of it, but a good chunk was about the characters being trapped and imprisoned. And I'm like, it like after I like wrote that section, like why am I like I'm not enjoying this, you know. So I think like getting, and that was of course years and years ago,
Mm-hmm.
um, but I think getting to know yourself enough to know the kind of story you want to tell, and not just imitating like other authors just because you happen to like them.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I met this one author who was writing this story. It felt like kind of like a Catcher in the Rye esque kind of thing. And when we were talking to him about it, he just seemed so bored, which I get. Like sometimes people get burned out of projects they're working on so much. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but he like I kind of got the impression that he was more interested in just writing other types of stuff. But he kind of was just like, oh, I need to write this great literary thing.
Yeah.
But it just felt a little to me. Obviously, I'm not going to say who this is.
Yeah.
Felt a little hollow,
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. Um, but yeah, to just know the kind of stories you want to tell, whatever they are.
Yeah, and it's going to take time to get there for sure. And that's it sucks when you're 20 and you're in school and you're like I'm going to write some novels, and it's like, though, like you have to put the time in, and you have to and you won't know it. That's the other thing. Like you don't really know when you've got to that point that it's like, okay. Like you will and you won't, but it's like when you're in it, you don't know. It's looking back at your work and saying, "Oh, okay, I've seen when I like got over that hill finally of I'm not me imitating X, I'm just me writing a story, right?"
Mm-hmm.
Um, but for me, it took me like I always say I've been writing for over 20 years, and it's true, and I have nothing to show for it until about 3-4 years ago, right? And that was but I've been writing the entire time, and it was me putting in the reps and writing short stories and getting rejected and putting in all this effort and time and for what some would say amounted to nothing, right? But
Those people
it's
are fools.
yeah. I say some, it's probably me, but it's me in the back of my head. But yeah, like it's I didn't really have anything to show for all the writing I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of the odd little win here or there where it's like, oh, I got a short story published, like whoop-de-doo. Right. But it was like very once in a while.
Yeah.
To getting to a point where it's like, okay, now I have an audience and I have a following and all that. And it took me almost 20 years to get there. And it's because of that. It's because exactly what you said. It took me that long to like find my voice and to do something that wasn't just my version of Game of Thrones, my version of
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Right. No, this is a story that like only I could tell, which is a cliche in itself. But you know what I mean? But it's that idea of like you could read something of mine and you can tell that I wrote it, regardless of the genre I'm writing, regardless of the type of story it is. Like I tend to have a voice that carries through, or a point of view that carries through, and that's something I had to develop over time. And I think that's true of every writer. That if you're not putting in the reps, you're not doing that effort, right? Like people will see that you're doing your version of X, which is not what people are looking for. People are looking for your story, period. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I
And
imagine the same with art as well, right? Like you have to put in the reps. So anyway, sorry, go ahead.
no, I'm agreeing with everything you're saying, and I feel like one issue with finding your voice is that very often, like I have complete and total respect for teachers, and I used to actually be one. Um, but I can kind of see how in some English classes might not be that helpful because there's like this very
Mm-hmm.
specific grammatically correct talk this way, write this way kind of thing, which
Yes.
might work for essays and might
Mm-hmm.
work for like college essays and like getting you success with that. But if you take that and put it into something more creative, that's supposed to be more personal, that have more of your voice in it, I think it took me a little bit of time to kind of bust out of that and be like, okay, my characters don't speak grammatically correct. Like,
Yeah.
um, they, or even my narrators don't like
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thing. And I can kind of see how that with early writers, they're still trying to make um, Mrs. McKenzie or whoever happy in eighth grade English class. Um,
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you there. I agree with you there, and I think as a librarian, you might find as well. They have the same thing with reading. I find in like the education system in the sense of, you're forced to read this book, and again, it's for a reason. To be like, just to be fair to all the teachers out there, it's
mhm.
all for a reason. Like, you have to learn to write in a specific way because you have to build a certain foundation that you can't if you're just doing whatever you want, right? Or you're doing it in your own voice. Like, you have to learn why things are the way they are before you can do them your way. So the same with reading. You're given certain books because there are things you will learn from these books that you will take through your life through of reading and all that. However, I feel like that also breaks a lot of people's reading habits early on because they feel like they pick up a book and they must finish it. Right? They pick up a book whether or not they enjoy it, and now it's homework. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, when you're out of school, you can read whatever you want. And the second it stops being interesting to you, pick up the next book. You'll never read every book that's ever made, so don't waste your time, right? But it's
Or just
that
like the
mindset.
the books are boring. Like I feel like that's
Yeah.
and the thing is, I get why people read Shakespeare
Yeah.
in like I get why people read the Odyssey. I love the Odyssey. But when I was a teacher, I was a ninth grade English teacher, and many of my students had like fourth grade reading levels. And I was in Romeo and Juliet and the Odyssey were literally two things that
Hmm.
I read with them. Um, and I remember just like talking to higher up about like, look, why, you know, can't we meet more where they are right now and then help build them up? Whereas right now, it just
Yeah.
feels like they're just assuming all books are going to be like kind of written hundreds of years ago, have characters that can't really. I mean, a lot of people can relate to Romeo and Juliet, but if you have that barrier,
Yeah.
and basically the answer I got was like, well, this is just what you read in high school. Um, okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Which
and
is
then
the problem in
budgets,
itself, right?
and go out and buy a whole bunch of new books, like, just,
Hmm.
but yeah. I,
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%, right? Like, that's exactly it. It's and then it's building this like uh, bad relationship. I almost want to say abusive relationship with reading in a sense, right? Where it's like, yeah, like I'm going in, and if like I pick up a book, like it's going to be effort, like it's going to be work. It's
yeah.
like, no, that's not majority of the books that are written. They're just the ones that you've been familiarized with, right? Because like you said, we're picking these old classics that don't relate to you in any way, aren't written in English you're familiar with, right? And now it's just, yeah, why would I go read something? That's not something I do for fun. It's
Yeah.
like, but you should. You should, and you would if you knew what was available. So it's only those that are a little more adventurous in that sense that ever end up being readers. And the fact that we don't have many readers in the world tells you exactly why that's a problem, right?
The thing that's funny is that like, and I'm talking completely anecdotally here. Just as a librarian, I run into a lot of kids that love reading.
Hmm.
Um, that really get into reading, love it, get excited about it, that kind of thing. The challenge is when they become teenagers.
Hmm.
Like, will excuse me, will they continue to want to do? Will they continue to want to explore this, or will it just turn into reading's boring?
Yeah.
Kind of. Um, which is, I mean, at least that's what I've run into with the kids I've encountered.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, and I could see that. I could see that being a problem, right? Because it's especially now. I mean, again, cliche, the world of distraction we live in, right?
Yeah.
That there's so many options and so many different things
Mm.
that they can look into and they can do. What is happening? So the challenge now with the youth and the adults as well is, yeah, it's there's so many, like there's always distraction. There's always, at least, I'm a millennial. I grew up with video games. I grew up with all that stuff, and I heard about how video games are going to rot your brain and all that business, and I seem to be doing just fine, right? But
Yeah.
now there's so much more, and it's right in your pocket, and I think that's the difference. Like dragging around a Game Boy was not as straightforward. The batteries would die eventually. um you know I
Pretty fast, I remember.
yeah. Yeah, like it was not something that you can depend on to be on you constantly like you
Mm.
can with your phone now. So it's just a pocket away. um and that's kind of a difference in that sense, that now you're competing with TikTok. That's like, it's dopamine hit, right? Like it's just
Mm.
random stuff that's just going to keep you distracted. So it's even more of an effort to be put in to actually want to read and all that stuff. I will say that it seems like this new generation is revolting against it a lot more than we did. Um,
Yeah.
because I think maybe because they grew up with it, so they don't see the where to us it was magic. It's like, oh
Mm.
my god, I can put all these movies on here. Like I used to have to rewind all my tapes, and right. So it's all new and amazing to them. It's the magic isn't there, so they're going in the other direction, where they're like, I want something that's more, tangible. All right.
Yeah,
Um.
I'm surprised. And once again, this is anecdotal.
Yeah.
So, I can only talk about people who I personally know, and it could just be the people who I work with, people who I personally know. But I'm surprised how many people in their early 20s really resent social media, and some are just like getting off of it. Um,
Good for them. Yep.
I, I think it's like, I have a mixed relationship. I mean, I think we all have a mixed relationship with social
Mhm.
media. I think it's fantastic, but it's also so horrible too. Um, and so I enjoy being on it, and love the way it's connected me to people. But also, yeah, ugh, like,
Yeah, and like most things, it's not what it used to be,
yeah,
right? Like when Twitter first started, when Facebook first started, it was like, oh, I get to catch up with friends that I haven't seen in a while, and oh, I get
right.
to see what's going on in this other part of the world, and like we're all talking, and that's cool, right? And now it's just become a beast in itself. So I totally get why. Again, if you grew up in it, it's like, why would I
Mm,
get on that? It's the old people are doing. Gross.
especially Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah, right? Like it's so it's maybe there's hope for us all eventually. Right? The new generation will save us all with their with their viewpoints on things, but I think that seems to be
Every
helping. Yeah.
Sorry, I feel like every generation's hoping the
They'll be
next
the ones to fix
will
it.
be the moral ones who will save the world, kind of thing.
Yeah. It was just the boomers that were content. They're like, we did it all right. I own 4 houses, 10 cars, and I paid a bag of potatoes for all of it. And yeah, other than that, I think we're all looking for a hero here. But again, it's all perspective, right? Because yeah, if you grew up in the millennial area there, where the internet was something that didn't exist and then slowly came into being, it's all magic, right? It's all cool. But yeah, it's so, and we kind of have that link to the past, that it's like, yeah, but you don't understand what it used to be like. Where these new kids, yeah, they're it's not like I feel like they don't even feel the overwhelm
Hmm.
the way we do, where it's like, oh my god, like things are changing every 4 years, it feels like, right? There's always something that just upends everything we ever thought of
Oh.
over and over again, and to them it's like, that's just life. That's how it's always been. Right? So it's easier for them to see through the noise and just be like, why would I go on social media? That's just, do you not see what's happening on there? It's all brain rot, right? For us, it's like, yeah, but like, how am I supposed to connect? How am I supposed to see my high school friends and if they're getting married or not? Uh, right? So different perspective, different. different way of approaching all of this, which is cool. Um, so I hope that means good things for comics. We'll see. I don't know,
We'll
but
see. I mean, there's a lot of great comics out there being made, so
hmm
hopefully. And also, just want to say, like, sometimes losing touch with your high school friends, it's not the worst thing
yeah,
to
I'm with you there. Right? Sometimes it's just you need to move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can speak from experience. That's that's entirely true. But yeah, it's an interesting world. But it's I will say there's certain things that I just can't get behind. Like if talking specifically comics, I still can't wrap my head around the vertical scroll comics.
Oh, really?
Um like a webtoon and that kind of thing where you're scrolling like it's on your phone and you're scrolling up the screen for the comic.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wrap my head around that style of storytelling. Um, I don't know. It's been around for. It's one of those things that it's been popularized recently, but I think it was Scott McCloud who like thought of that. It was the infinite scroll or something like that. He called it.
Hmm.
And that was like
I didn't know that he was the one who did that.
yeah, it was in one of his books he talked about it where it's like, "Oh, with the internet, you'll be able to just do a web page and the web page can just be a comic that you can keep scrolling down." So he inadvertently like created the format, right? Just as like a theory in his book, the understanding comics. And so that's become the like it seems like the format of the younger set. I don't know. I just can't. I want to try it, but I just can't wrap my head around how those. And I read them. I still don't understand how they work. They're all so different, and they all have their own like I don't know, their own timing, their own pacing, and all that. It's just I don't know. I can't wrap my head around it. So
The
I don't know
one,
about you. Are you familiar with the format? How do
I
you
don't know.
feel
I'm
about it?
familiar with the format. I think it bothers me a little less. I like it when they take advantage of that format.
That's fair. Yeah.
And I'm trying to think of like examples. But it's just like where it feels like, okay, you knew this is the way the story was going to be told, and you use this for your advantage, like the way that
hmm
we try to use the format of a comic to our advantage, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think if there was more of that, I'd be into it. I think that's what I have the problem with, is that it's a comic that will eventually be translated to a page, right? And they're keeping that in mind, so it's just a regular comic that they've spliced up,
Yeah.
right? And now it's you've made it more of a pain to read, and you're not getting any advantage to it. Um, Again, pacing wise or anything like that. It's just like panels broken up that I have to physically like push through now. Um, and that I feel like is what I'm kind of railing against. Where if it's a story that is intended for that format and uses that format in interesting ways, I feel like that could work.
Yeah.
What was the style? So there was a style of comic that was it was a digital. It was like almost infinite comics. That's what they're called.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember these, and it was Marvel did it for a while.
Okay.
We would scroll through, and the bubbles would like come and go, and like there'd be like subtle animation, right?
Oh,
um, and it
yeah.
would end up being like 100 panels if you had it like printed out, but it was really just like a short like 10 panel story, but it was very minorly animated by you like hitting the next button.
Hmm.
I felt like that was neat because that would like kind of play with the form a lot. Um, but that didn't take off. Instead, we got this vertical scroll thing. But I was all into the Infinite comics. I thought those were cool because then you could really control the pacing of just dialogue and all that, right? And expressions. And the thing with comics is the expressions are frozen. So somebody's saying something like what Roberto's working on right now with everybody in the huddle, right? And everybody's got a different expression, and those are all frozen in time. Like it may not entirely match what the dialogue would have been, let's say, right? In a scenario where there's dialogue. Or the most famous comic thing is somebody punching and then speaking a whole paragraph, right? Right? You can
Did it.
handle that in an infinite comic and not have them punching while they're talking. So it was an interesting form, but it's dead, and I'm upset about it. So
Yeah, that was it's funny you said the first comic I wrote was Patch's Rebellion, the one about the teddy bear.
Hmm.
And I had this moment where one character is throwing another character, their toys, so yeah,
Yeah.
throwing another character. And while saying something, and the feedback I got from the teacher was just like, they're talking way too much for this one to capture this one action of throwing.
Yeah.
Just funny that you brought up. Yeah, I've definitely seen I feel like in older comics where they're punching someone and you could get that whole paragraph.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like the whole explanation of why they're doing it, right? And they're like, "Oh no, his radiation shield is blocking my punch. I'm hoping that if I use all my force," and it's like, "Oh my goodness, this is too much for this one panel." Yeah, very very old school style of storytelling, but
I know your superpower. I grew up watching your cartoons.
yeah,
You don't need to explain it to me.
right. That was the Stan Lee. The Stan Lee. Everyone's comic is their first comic, or
Yeah.
every comic could be someone's first, so
Yeah.
they would always have to reintroduce everything every time.
And once I understood that was why it was like, okay, this makes sense. That this was written before this character was in pop culture, and
Yeah,
pop culture osmosis would just tell you, oh, this is Colossus's power, that kind of thing.
yeah, exactly. It was intended for the newsstand, right?
Yeah.
Where the newsstand is like you don't know what they're gonna have.
Yeah.
There's no guarantee that issue that they're gonna have issue 1 of that arc, right? Someone's going to pick up issue 3 of said arc, and you need to catch them up on what the hell's happening. So very very different world we live in now with the direct market and all that, and the expectation of things going into trade. So now you write with the idea of people are going to read this all at once, right? Or as close to it as possible. So you can write with that in mind and go slow burn and do all that. Um, it's interesting how that can change the style of storytelling quite a bit. Um, but yeah, it's just funny. Yeah, there's such a nostalgia for those older comics, and then you read them sometimes, and it's like I like what they were going for, but it could be a bit of a slog to read through in itself. So yeah, I'm still reading through the Triangle era of Superman comics, and like sometimes it's like, oof. You could see this was the filler issue of the month. Um, not this was not meant to be read in trade. It was definitely a week to week kind of thing. So yeah, very interesting. And who knows? Who knows where things are headed? Um, I do wonder. I do wonder again with those vertical comics and people going more digital and all that, like how this whole industry survives. But we'll have to see. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm one of those, not to sound old fashioned or something like that, but I'm definitely one of those people where I prefer just the physical thing.
Yeah,
It just reading stuff on the screen. I think it's also for me. It's like I'm staring at screen so much anyway.
sure.
Like,
Yeah.
and I definitely I read comics on screens too. If like that's just what I have access to
Hmm.
read that. But if I have a choice, I will buy it, get out of the library, somehow get the physical thing if I am able to.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a mix. I'm if I'm being entirely honest, I especially when it comes to Kickstarter, because shipping can be so prohibitive to Canada,
Yes.
where
Yeah.
I'm at. So usually sometimes, usually, I'll say usually, it'll outstrip the cost of the book itself to ship it. So at that point, I'm supporting digitally, right? I still want to give people my support, and I still want to read their work, but I don't necessarily need it in my hands if it's going to cost me $50 for a 24-page
No.
comic, right? More than happy to give them 5 and call it a day. Um,
I no, I've read digital comics for much lesser reasons than that, like
yeah,
than saving $50.
yeah, right. Like so, yeah. So I tend to be more of a when it comes to indie comics in particular. I tend to be more of a trade waiter, for that reason. And then global comics has been a lifesaver, in terms of like reading all of the bigger publishers. So like Image and Dark Horse and all those indies. So if you're into digital comics, that's a great place to kind of catch up with all that.
Yeah,
And then I'm also on what is it? The DC Universe Infinite Ultra. That's how I'm reading the Superman Triangle because I have them. I collected that whole series. It's somewhere in my house or my parents' house in various boxes. Much easier to just click and say next issue.
Yeah,
Right?
and I got that. It was just sort of like I have it somewhere here.
Yeah.
Um, Not to push libraries, but a lot of libraries, anyone out there who uses them, they have Hoopla, and
Yes.
Hoopla has a ridiculous selection of comics and graphic novels. I At least ours does. I think it might vary from library to library, like how what you have access to, but mine has like a ridiculous collection.
Yeah, I can say that as well for the Toronto Public Library. We have quite a few, and it's not just restricted to Hoopla for us. We also get the trade version of books. So if it's
Oh
out
yeah,
in
we do too.
trade,
Yeah.
yeah, you Overdrive usually has it as well. Um,
Okay.
yeah, so there are options. There are options to read. Again, it won't cost you anything but a library card. So I think Hoopla is restricted too, right? Like you can only go up to whatever your library system has. So it's like 8 or 10, depending on.
Yeah, but if you have a spouse who has a library card and she doesn't use it very much, like you
Yes.
don't.
She's not getting all the audiobooks and stuff with her credits. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it depends on the system you're in, but it's definitely more often than not you can find books on there. So there's no excuse not to be reading them, right? And then usually you can find trades in the library system as well, like physical ones. Again, you might have to wait your turn, but
We've
most
got a lot.
libraries are getting them, right? Yeah. So I tend to get a lot that way as well. So yeah, it depends. Toronto's a pretty big library system here, so we get quite a lot of everything. But I know even if you're in a smaller one, like when I used to live outside of Toronto, my old library system still had quite a bit of selection. Toronto definitely increased that quite a bit, but anyways, yeah.
Well, I remember being a kid, and I think the library I grew up with, I mean, it was a very well stocked library, but I think as far as cute kitty,
Oh yes, this is
uh,
Oliver. He's being a terror.
he looks like it.
Yeah.
Just out of shot over here, he's been sleeping throughout this entire thing.
Nice.
But I think the library I grew up with, they had like Watchmen and maybe a couple Donald Duck books, and that was about it.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
like libraries have definitely gotten a better selection of graphic novels.
Yeah,
Like,
100%. Like librarians got hip to it that it's like, "Oh, you want kids to read."
yeah,
Right? Maybe get some comics in their hands. At least they're reading. And
yeah,
then it became, well, adults want to read these too,
yeah,
right? It's not just kids checking these out. Hold on.
yeah.
Okay. So
We've got
yeah.
endless collection of manga.
Oh yes. Yes, the whole manga thing has been wild. Even so, I mentioned I was in Italy. Even there, they're pretty good about comics being a lot of places,
Mhm.
but the manga sections, like just like here, are like 2 to 3 times as large,
Yeah.
right? So
Mhm.
that's just the trend nowadays, which is fine. It is what it is. But I don't to say I say that not saying it's a bad thing,
Mhm.
but it's just an interesting way of going about it. My goodness. Okay. He insists on walking along the keyboard, and I'm worried he's going to end the session. Uh,
Cats do that.
yeah, yeah, right. What's that cartoon? Freakazoid. That's how he gets sucked into the computer. Anyway,
Oh, oh, yeah.
did, did I trigger something there?
You just brought back a couple of memories from my childhood.
That's good. Go for it. Go for it. Enlighten us.
I didn't say they were good memory. No.
That's fair. Have you gone back to watch Freakazoid? It's not great. It's an all right show. But yeah, I always think of that every time he while I'm in the middle of a meeting decides to start dancing across the keyboard.
That came out like his whole backstory was that he was on the internet and went to a website and became a superhero.
That's right.
Because I guess back in the 90s, they thought that it's sort of like with Tron, where like back in the 80s, they thought, okay, maybe they're little people living inside my computer, like,
Yeah.
like that kind of thing. And I guess that just made sense of it. Like, no offense to Tron fans out there, but like that just made sense at the time. So like with Freakazoid, it's like, okay, like the internet's kind of new. It's like we don't really know a whole lot about it. So maybe it could give you superpowers. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, it was of its time. For sure. It was definitely of its time. What else was there? Reboot? You ever watch Reboot? That might have been a Canadian thing. Yeah.
I remember that was computer animated,
That's
right?
right. Yes. At a time where it was still very, very early.
Hmm.
Um, but
I'm
yeah.
sure that animation has aged wonderfully.
Oh yeah, it's
I
it's rough.
I I remember it looking kind of cool when I was like a kid, and it was like 1990, whenever. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a little stiff.
yeah.
Um, yeah, when Dan DiDio would come, he'd always talk about he would come for Fan Expo, which is like our big
Mm.
convention here, and he would always talk about when he used to work on Reboot. He's like, I know Toronto well, and someone would have to get him like a special. Like we had like not he likes ketchup chips, but it was a very specific kind from one of our grocery stores. So someone would always get him a bag of that, and and then he'd reminisce about his time working on Reboot, even though we're like, "What are you doing with this new 52 thing? You're what is happening? What are you doing to us?" Uh, but he'd be like, "Oh, Toronto, let me tell you about Reboot." So that's one thing that always like in my head is kind of funny, but yeah, I mean, I gotta say, as much as everybody gripes about the new 52 and all that, it does feel like it feels like we're back there now with all
Yeah.
the risks that are being taken. But for a little while there, it's like, we crapped all over that. Like it was a swing and a miss, but at least it was a swing,
Yep.
right? At least they were doing something. Or I feel like DC now doing this absolute stuff has been really cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Enjoyed that.
and then Marvel's kind of all over the place with we're doing the Ultimate Universe. No, we're ending it. Okay, now we're doing Armageddon. Like, okay, let us know when you're ready, I guess. But I like
Um,
the big swings. It's cool to see.
I do too. Like, I mean, there have been like, I would say even with like movies, that it's like I don't necessarily enjoy this, but I'm glad you tried. Kind
Hmm.
of makes sense. Um, like some art films or some like, I think I feel that way sort of about Tenet,
Yes,
uh,
yes,
where it's just sort of like, okay, it's this isn't really an experiment that worked, but I appreciate that you tried to do something different. If that
yeah,
makes sense.
yeah, exactly. Right. It's at least it's not the same story again in a
Yeah.
slightly different packaging, right?
Yeah.
Roberto, we lost your screen. There we
There.
go. Yeah, yeah, exactly, right? I like the idea. Oh, we lost it again.
Yeah, I was trying. Yeah, give me a
Oh,
second.
hold on.
Wait, which movie you said? Tenet?
Tenant.
Oh,
Tenet.
Christopher
yes.
Nolan, the one he did before Oppenheimer.
Yeah, yeah.
That was
It's
a.
traveling time in real time.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, that was a pandemic one, right? I
Yeah.
think.
I
Yes.
think that was another pandemic one, and that was the one that was supposed to get us all back into movie theaters, like
Yes.
to like be a crowd pleaser. It's like, no, this is a 2.5 hour long big budget art film.
Yeah.
Like, this is not, going to appeal for everyone.
Most people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to a mostly empty theater to watch that,
Yeah.
which I was kind of happy about at the time. Where it's like, oh, okay, cool. It's me and seven other people. Perfect.
I think my first movie back, it was still during the pandemic,
Mhm,
was still wearing masks and everything,
mhm.
was No Way Home,
Oh
Spider-Man,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
which
That one was like a must see in
yeah,
theaters, though, right?
that that was a good one to return to the theater too.
Yeah,
Like, I did enjoy it.
yeah. Tenet was kind of somber. Like it was
Mm.
one that the film was not the right one, right,
Yeah,
to bring everyone back, like you mentioned, but
he did
also
not direct that movie to bring the world together.
right,
Like,
exactly. That and the fact that it just wasn't, you
yeah,
know,
Mm.
it just wasn't. It wasn't the time. We
yeah.
weren't ready to be back yet. So it feels like 100 years ago, and it feels like 6 months ago at the same
I
time.
know.
I don't know why.
I,
What's
I
happened to time?
I still very often wear masks at work, just working with
Oh
the
yeah,
public and stuff. Yeah.
yeah, makes sense. Yeah,
Mm.
it's one of those things. It makes sense. Um, like if there wasn't such nonsense around it, it's like it'd be great if we could just do like the Japanese do and just decide I'm sick. I don't want to get everyone around me sick.
Yeah.
Right?
I
Instead
feel like
it's
that's
become this whole thing.
in my workplace. I feel like that's kind of how my coworkers are. Like I'm very lucky that all my workplaces since the pandemic they've taken it seriously.
Yeah.
Um, because I have relatives where they were in workplaces where people weren't taking it seriously. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think that like at least with coworkers, many friends, it's just like, yeah, I'm sick, but I'm well enough to go to work. Like it's just a cold. I've tested. I know it's not.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
still just going to wear a mask, even though I know it's a cold, kind of thing, which does make sense.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So my day job's in a hospital, and I used to tough it out. That was like the pre-pandemic thing. Was like I would be like physically miserable, and you could see it, and I'd be like, stay at the other end of the room, like, but I'm still in this meeting with all of you, and very much going to get you all sick because we're all sharing the same air. But like it was just what you did, right? And then. If anything, we've all kind of learned like, hey, if you're sick, maybe you can stay home. That's cool.
Yeah,
You'll be fine. Right? You don't
it's
have to get everyone sick.
weird in retrospect that that was like the attitude. Like I'm going to go to
Yeah.
work. You guys are also going to get sick.
Yeah, like just like hey, this is gonna be passed around. Like this is you next week.
And I am sure that 10 years from now, they're going to be, or even 5 years from now, they'll be like, yeah, this weird that back in 2025, people thought that way or acted that way or voted that way.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, it's so true. It's funny just how
2024.
yeah. It is funny how uh what was normal because it's just like it's just the way it is. Like you're sick, but like you can walk, go to work, right? Like not thinking about how you're impacting everyone around you. And again, like it would be like, yeah, like I'm probably gonna get everyone sick, but I need to be at work. Where now it's like because if you took a sick day, that was like, how dare you? What's wrong with you? Right?
Yeah.
That's not what they're used for.
Mm.
It's like, well, why do I have them? Where now it's like, you're sick. Why are you coming to work? Like, why are you gonna get everyone else sick? What's wrong with you? Right. So it's so interesting how that like perspective has completely shifted. Not even for like a health reason in a lot of cases. Sometimes it's just like you're not going to be productive. Stay home. Right. So it's just interesting the perspective shift that comes from all of that. So I don't know, but yeah, once in a lifetime is probably more than plenty for that whole
Hopefully,
experience. Yeah,
knock on all the wood on the planet.
yeah. Oh man. All right. All that said,
I love that stadium.
yeah, Roberto. This turned out really well. Are you still muted? You're not muted. Um,
No, I think I'm not.
yeah, we can hear
Can you-
you.
Okay,
You're
okay.
here. Hello. Um,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, I think we're good. I think we got a comic here. Um,
I love how
we
excited the rabbit looks.
Sorry, what?
the
I
rabbit.
love how
Yeah.
excited the rabbit looks.
Like, it turned out really good. Yeah,
Yeah, I like this.
nice.
Thank you.
And it's from such a interesting collection of prompts.
Yeah.
These two didn't go together at all, and still it worked.
No. And it's funny because I am not a sports person at all. Uh, that somehow came up with a sports comic.
Yeah, I like it, and I think the progression
Mm-hmm.
really builds well. Turned out really cool. I like it. All right. So with that, anything to add before we do our outros and say goodbye?
Or dialogues or anything?
Or are we good with it as is?
We're good as with the comic. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
this
yeah,
looks.
with the comic. Amazing. Okay, so and then before I let you do the outro, anything else you want to say before I give you the floor to give your whole goodbye?
This has been a lot of fun. It's been great hanging out, watching this great comic, and talking about the pandemic.
Yeah, I try not to talk about that as much as possible, but here we are.
It still comes up.
It was a big part of all of our lives, unfortunately.
Something we all share.
Right on. All right, so with that, yeah, we're gonna call it here with our wonderful final page here of our animals playing some kind of ball sport, which we're all into in their giant abandoned stadium. That looks really cool. I love the way Roberto used that brush just to add so much
Yeah,
detail so
Yeah.
quickly.
yes. Yeah, I was looking at the time. I have to do something.
Yeah, no, it really worked. It filled it in, and like, yeah, there's a secret to it almost. How you it's like, wow, look at all that detail. It's like, oh, it's just a cool brush. But
Yeah.
I'm looking at the stadium like this does look like something bad happened here, but I'm really happy. And I guess this is the point of the prompt. I'm really happy that like fun is happening in this place again.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly, right? Like there were definitely the two ways to go about it, that it could be really somber or it could be really joyful. And I feel like we went the joyful way, which is nice. We need more of that, right? Given everything we talked about. So I feel like that's a good way to bring it all together. So Michael, you have stuff. You have lots of stuff coming. Please tell us about all the stuff, where they can find you, what you're up to, all that stuff.
Where
Floor
you
is
can
yours.
well, I hang out at Blue Sky, Barron Author, and you can read about me and all the different stuff I'm working on at michaelbarronauthor.com. You can also please feel free to sign up for my newsletter. Every month, you'd get a list of literary agents and publishers that are open, as well as a mini short story that is like kind of expressing a lesson in creative writing. And so I try to keep it lots of fun. Other than that, I do have a short comic coming out with Lifeline's Witching Season anthology, and I'm also going to have a short comic coming out in Blood Coven Moon Magic anthology. We'll have a Kickstarter for that coming up, and I myself will have a Kickstarter for The Secret Lives of Demon Hunters, illustrated by Jack Van Tomey. So got a few things coming down the pipeline.
I love it. Yeah, a ton of cool stuff coming out. Very excited to see it. Yeah, this has been a lot of fun talking to you.
Thank
So
you.
excited to see everything you got coming out. Right on. And then Roberto, we missed you in a lot of it, but let us know where we could find you and what you're up to.
Okay, you can find me at robertoviacaoillustration.com, and I haven't posted anything new lately, but you can find me there.
Right on. And you have a newsletter as well, so it's an easy
Yes.
way. If you forget to check out his website, join his newsletter, and he'll let you know when there's new stuff to see. So highly recommend that. And of course, I have a newsletter. You can find that at pestocomics.com. You can find me at Pesto Comics all over the internet. Always got something coming out. It's December, so I got nothing right now. However, I have the pre-launch for Switch Restart, which is a novella, sci-fi thriller novella coming out in the new year. That'll be on BackerKit instead of Kickstarter, trying something new there. And then should have a couple pre-launches out. There's one for Backlot Babylon, which is a novel series. Again, talking to more prose and books and all that coming out. That'll be coming out in the spring. And I don't know where we are in terms of release and all that, but there should be a couple more pre-launches for comics that are coming out. Good old comics. I don't know where we are, so I'm not going to say them out loud because I don't know if they've been announced yet. But check everything out, pestocomics.com. It'll bring you to what's available and what you can find. So with that, Michael, I want to thank you for being here. Roberto, thank you for the amazing page. And thank all of you for watching. It's been a great time. Talk to you next time. Thanks,
Take care.
everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.